in a United Reformed Church. And I would suggest to you tonight that children being in worship is becoming a thing of the past.
So true.
In evangelical churches, the children are sent someplace else during the worship service. And even in some churches with Reformed in their name, the children are sent off. Remember, we were visiting a church, an evangelical church, a number of years ago, and noticed in the bulletin the announcement right at the top that everyone who was under the 6th grade in school was to be sent someplace else. That's every preteen in the whole church. We're not expected to be in the worship service. Having children in worship is becoming a thing of the past, and we have to hold on to that. We welcome children in our church. We welcome them in the worship services. Not only because we love children, which we do, I love kids, but our theology directs us that way. We have what we call covenant theology. God is a God for us and our children. We could go through the promises to Abraham and God's promises to his covenant and their seed as time goes on. So yeah, we believe children belong in the worship service. We believe that they're God's children, covenant children. God has always had a concern for his children. We think back in the time of the Exodus out of Egypt, how God sent that 10th plague, the plague of the death of the firstborn. But God was concerned about the children of the Israelites. And so he said, if you do this, your children will be saved. An example of God's concern for the children of believers. In the New Testament, Jesus speaks to those around him when the children are coming near him. And in Matthew 19 says, let the children come to me, do not hinder them, for to such belongs the kingdom of heaven. Children like these belong in the kingdom of heaven, Jesus says. They're not potential kingdom members. They are members of the kingdom and belong near me. If God is concerned about our children, if Jesus is concerned about our children, we too need to be concerned about our children in worship and helping them to learn how to worship. You don't need a Bible tonight, but I am going to read one Bible verse because it really nicely summarizes what we're going to talk about. And that Bible verse is Psalm 46, verse 10, and just the first line of that verse, where the psalmist, quoting God, says, be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Now, when it comes to training our children in worship, we often focus on the first part of that. Be still! Shh, shh, shh. Be still, be still! And that becomes our focus, is trying to get through the hour of worship, keeping our children quiet. That's a component of them being engaged in worship, but we can't miss the second half of that verse. Be still and know that I am God. That's why we have them there. Not in an exercise of how quiet they can be for an hour, but that they might know that God is their God. As one author put it, it's the difference between telling our children we're going to church or going to worship. Are we going to church to get them to the building to have them sit quietly, or are we going to worship? That they can be there and be engaged in what's going on. That's some of the things we're going to talk about. First of all, these next two lectures are not going to be. This is not a course on the theology of worship. We talked about that somewhat this past summer in the Backyard Bible Study. This is not a course in the theology of Christian education or of covenant theology. Although those things are going to be included tangentially, they play into our understanding of children being engaged in worship. It's not a course that's going to emphasize the work of prayer or the Holy Spirit, although without prayer and the Holy Spirit, our children will not be engaged in worship. What this course is, these next 2 lectures, are to hopefully very, very practically give some suggestions for how to help our children during that 60 minutes on Sunday morning and that 60 minutes on Sunday evening be engaged in an encounter with God as they sit with their family in public worship. Helping our children to be engaged during that time. The genesis of this course actually came many, many years ago. Our family was on vacation. This had to be 15 years ago, easily. And so we were on vacation somewhere, and of course I wasn't preaching on vacation, went to church as a family, and as we were sitting in church, there was another young family about a row or 2 ahead of us. And they had, I think it was 4 children. And those 4 children, as they were in the worship service, were completely unengaged. They had no clue what was going on. 2 of the brothers were kind of climbing over each other in a pile on the bench, and the little girl, during the sermon, she just turned around and looked at me the whole time. It was adorable. I didn't hear a word of the sermon. But completely unengaged. Had no idea what was going on around them. So much so that even our kids, they had to be in their teenage years by then, noticed it after church. We sat around the lunch table having our lunch, and the kids even mentioned it. Did you see how they played completely no attention to what's going on? And then what the kids started doing was, they said, remember how you made us do this in church. That's the way they put it. Remember how you made us do this in church. Remember how you made us do this in church. And began to list all these things that we had tried to do to help them be engaged in a worship service. And at one point during that time of remembering, my son Josh said, Dad, you really should make this into a course. You really should do a course based on our remembrances of what it was like to be in a worship service. And so tonight, and next time too, I'm going to give you some of those things we talked about. Things that we did in trying to help our kids be engaged, and things that I've seen other very successful parents doing as their children are engaged in the worship service. I always like to give you good resources, things to read if you want to know more. And so I have a book that I'd like to just point out to you. And the book is entitled Parenting in the Pew by Robbie Castleman. I read this last week, and it's very good. If you want to read more, this is a very good book on how to have your children engaged in worship. Most of the stuff that she wrote, I had mostly had already on my sheet, but there's a few things I picked up from her and a few phrases I picked up from her. Like any book, I cannot give an unqualified recommendation. There's a couple things that I go, I don't think so. No, that's theologically wrong. But I would say 93% of this book, 93% of this book, if you want to read something, Parenting in the Pew, Guiding Your Children into the Joy of Worship by Robbie Castleman. It's worth the read, and I think the book cost me, $10 or something like that, so it wasn't all that expensive. A couple disclaimers. I'm going to give you a lot of suggestions. Not all of these are going to work on every child. You know that. Every child is different. What might work with one of your kids doesn't work with another one. They've got their own personalities. They've got their own ways of reacting to things. So I'm going to give you lots. And hopefully some of those things will resonate with you and work with your kids. And remember, our kids, some things will work at a certain age and not at another age. As the children mature, our engaging with them has to change as well. So I kind of think of this class sort of like eating fish. My dad-in-law's a fisherman, as some of you know, and he loves to catch fish. And when he catches fish, he tries to do the best he can to get all the bones out of it. But once in a while, we're eating the fish and you get a bone. Well, you throw the bone away. And then you just keep eating the fish and you get a bone, it's like, and throw the bone away. there's going to be some things I say, you're going to go, bone, okay, throw it away. Hopefully there's some fish somewhere in the next 50, 40 minutes. But so if there's something you go, that's just crazy. That's okay. Just throw it away. It's like eating fish. The second disclaimer is, and I hope this goes without saying, I am certainly not speaking to you as an expert in child raising. We have made enough mistakes to fill a book. Okay, we could fill a book with things we have not done wrong, but I hope to offer some suggestions and maybe raise some awareness to let you know our children need to be taught how to worship. It is not natural for them. Israel, after they came out of Egypt, had to be instructed how it is we should worship God. Our children need the same thing. They don't naturally know what it is to go into church. They don't naturally know what it is to worship. So we have to teach them, instruct them. And we teach them all kinds of things. We teach them how to ride a bike. We teach them how to hold a spoon. We teach them how to read. Teaching your kids how to worship is something that will last them into eternity. We will spend an eternity praising God, and teaching them now how to worship who God is not. It's much more valuable than riding a bike. It's much more valuable to know how to use a spoon or tie your shoe or whatever other things we teach them. And yet so often we put more energy in teaching them how to ride a bike and teaching them how to worship. So it's something we have to give ourselves to. I hope that this class is an encouragement to parents. I don't want to make you feel badly, like, oh, I did that wrong and that wrong and that wrong. No, that's not what we're here about. But to encourage you, give you some ideas, and to remind you that you set the expectations for how your children are going to act in worship. I sometimes say to parents, depending on who they are, if you don't like how your children are behaving, that's on you! What will you allow in the worship service? Because your children will meet your expectations. At least that's their intention. They will try to meet your expectations. So I want to say to parents, expect more from our kids, not less. If we have low expectations, we will get low results. If we have high expectations, we may get high results. There's no guarantees. But I can guarantee you, if your expectations are low, you will not get high results. So I want to encourage you, expect more from your kids, not less. Don't underestimate what they are able to do. Don't underestimate what they're capable of. And to remind you that our children are called to respond to our expectations. Again, we set the agenda. And maybe you say, as I'm going through something, well, that won't work with my child. You know your kid better than I do. No question about that. But my question is, how do you know it won't work until you try it? I think we often underestimate what our kids can do. My kid can never do that. Your kid's pretty smart. Your kid's pretty brave. Your kid's pretty courteous. Your kid's pretty disciplined. Yeah. How do you know they can't do it? Keep set the expectation. Along with setting expectations, express appreciation. I think too often we set the expectation, and then when they meet it, we forget to express our appreciation. Wow, you did a great job in singing the last song in church tonight. Wow, you just sang out and it was great. Rather than, you better sing that last song. That's what I tell you to do. You better sing that last song because you know that last song. Express our appreciation, not just expectation. And then the last thing, kind of the way of introduction, is that training our children in worship is an extension of training them in the home. And you know that. Training them in worship is simply an extension to training them in the home. So I would encourage you, if you want to train your kids to be quiet, that training takes place at home. We train them to be quiet at home. So when we're having our prayer, yes, they have to be quiet. Or when mom or dad is talking to another adult and they come up, they have to be quiet. You teach them to be quiet at home so you can teach them to worship in church. We shouldn't use the church time as teaching quietness. That's a home lesson. Children will learn to be quiet at home. They'll learn to worship in church. And so I hope that this is going to go beyond just parents with children. I hope that this will be applicable to everybody in a couple ways. One is, especially tonight, we're going to talk about things to prepare for worship. And as I've gone through these, I think these are applicable for absolutely everyone. I don't care if you have a child who's 3 months old or you are someone who is 90 years old. These are applicable things to prepare for worship. And the other thing is, if we're all aware of what the parents in our church are trying to do to engage their children, we may be more understanding. We see them, I'll talk about this in a few minutes, we see them sitting in front of church with their 3-year-old. And often our first response is, are they crazy? What are they doing up in front? There's a reason for that. And so if the congregation is aware what we are trying to do in engaging our children, we can be much more encouraging to the young parents. We can encourage them to continue what they're doing. So I really have two main sections I want to talk about. One tonight and then one next week. Tonight will be all about preparing for worship. What's the preparation we do with our kids and for ourselves to be ready to go to the worship service? And next time, I want to speak much more particularly, and again, some very practical suggestions about the worship service itself. Tonight, preparation for worship. Next time, in the worship service itself, and what happens immediately following. So those two components next time, tonight, preparing, and throughout both, what I want to do is give you some suggestions for how to teach your children, not just about worship, but about Sunday itself. Sunday is the Lord's day. It's different than every other day. It's a day God himself set aside. He hallowed it. He made it holy. How do we get that message across to our kids? So the particular topic is worship. A little more general is, how do we help them understand Sunday is a special day? So with that, we're going to get started tonight, beginning with preparing. Preparing for worship. And again, like I said, what I'm going to tell you, you already know. You already know. I'm just going to say it again to encourage you to do it. All right, how do we prepare for worship at church? We arrive at church. What do we do? We're going to kind of work backwards from church and then go back preparing before that. So the preparation at church starts this way, and I know this goes, again, it's very basic, very plain. I'm not going to be deep at all tonight. Preparing for worship means arriving early. It means arriving early. And I would suggest, be early. I would suggest at least 10 minutes early. At least 10 minutes early. I know we're Dodger fans here, okay, but some of you are Dodger fans. Some of us are still Diamondback fans. And when we used to live in Arizona, we would go to Diamondback games. And, so the game starts at 7:25. Well, we would not go to our seats at 7:24. We'd get there an hour early. So you can see batting practice. So you can watch the guys warming up. So you can have the experience. We'd get there way early because we were so excited about the game. Now, I am not suggesting an hour early for worship. I don't even know if the doors are open then. But be early so that you are ready when it starts. And like I said, at least 10 minutes early, and I'll tell you some of the things to fill that 10 minutes in just a couple minutes. And that's not hard. I say that's not hard, but I mean this. You know, on a typical Sunday morning, how long it takes to get to church. It takes us 12 minutes. 12 minutes. Now, barring any traffic catastrophe, I can plan on 12 minutes. So now it just becomes a simple math problem. Okay, church starts at 10. I want to be 10 minutes early. That's 10 to 10. Takes us 12 minutes to get here. Subtract 12. I know when I have to leave the house. It's not hard. It's simple math. You didn't know there was math involved, did you? Okay? It's not hard. You know when you have to leave. If you plan to be 10 minutes early and you live 12 minutes away and you leave at 9:45, the math doesn't work. It doesn't work. So I said, it's not hard. You know what it takes to get here on time. So when you're at church, make sure you arrive early. Second thing when you arrive to church, use the restroom. The children must use the restroom. I don't care if they have to go or not. That's what we do when we get to church. That's the first thing we do. When we walk in the door, we say, hi, Reverend Nymeyer, hi, Reverend Nymeyer, and we go straight to the restroom, okay? Because you let them know they will not be going during church. They will not be leaving the church to use the restroom. There is absolutely no reason, barring any medical conditions. I mean, I don't want to be really crazy, but there is no reason that a healthy child cannot sit through a 60-minute service. It takes about 60 minutes to drive from here to the beach. It takes about 60 minutes, depending on traffic, maybe a little less, to get from here to Disneyland. So you tell your kids, first thing Monday morning, we're going to Disneyland today. And they say, great, we're going to Disneyland. Or we're going to the beach today. Great, we're going to the beach. Load them in the car, take off, 10 minutes on the road, the kid says, I got to use the potty. Sorry, hang on, we're going. We're not stopping. We don't stop because we're not there yet. The same thing with the worship service. Do you know why kids use the restroom during the worship service? Because we let them! That's why! It's not because they have to go. It's because we let them. And for them, that has become, for many of them, that's become the ritual of church. This is what I do. We go to church, we sit down, minister starts, we sing a song, and I go to the restroom. It's part of their liturgy. They go because we let them go, not because they have to go. When our daughter, I think it was a year ago, visiting our daughter up in Washington State, taking her daughter to preschool, and they got to the preschool, and the first thing she did is took Michaela by the hand and went right in the restroom. There was no questions asked. It was what they always do before preschool, so she wouldn't have to go out during class. The same is true for church. Now, again, I don't want to be too much of a hard case. If there is an emergency and the child has to go out, a parent goes out with them. At this church service we were at, I described earlier, at some point during the service, one of the little boys, he had to be about, 5 or 6, obviously was going to go out to the restroom. And so his older brother, who was 6 or 7, went with him. That is a recipe for disaster. 2 boys alone in a restroom. There's water, there's fixtures, there's towels. How many towels can we stuff in this toilet and still go? It's a playground. It's a playground. And these kids, these 2 boys were gone for at least 15 minutes. At least 15 minutes. So again, if there is an emergency and you have to take your child out, a parent, and I would suggest, Dad, you go with them. If it's your son, daughter, obviously mom's going to take him, but Dad, you go with your son and you take him out. It's part of your job as father to care for this child, and especially during the worship service. You take that child out, you bring him to the restroom, and I guarantee a 10-minute restroom break becomes a 2-minute restroom break when Dad is sitting there like this, okay? You take them out. Don't send a kid with them, and don't send them alone. That's part of your parenting, is you take them out. Although you tell me before, you don't go to the bathroom there in church. We don't do that. But again, once in a while, there'll be an emergency, and then Dad takes them out, and Dad brings them back. So you arrive at church. You're 10 minutes early. You use the restroom. That's part of what we do during this time. Next, how do we sit? How do we sit in church? And I'm going to suggest we sit together as a family. We sit together. So what does that look like? Well, I brought a couple visual aids along tonight. You know, I'm not big on visual aids, but I brought some along tonight. So we'll see how this goes. All right. That's me, okay? That's me. Nice looking brown bear. There we go. I'm just going to sit right there. And let's see what I got. And this is Mary. she's praying. I think it's for patience because she's married to me. But, so here we are. We're a young couple. We're newly married, and we sit in church like this. You know, this is how we sit when we're newly married and a young couple in church. Wonderful. This is nice and snuggly. Great. All right. In time, Nicole is born. There's Nicole. What do we do with Nicole? I'm going to suggest that Nicole will fit right between Mom and Dad. Now, there's some people who will say, it's very, very important for me to be next to my spouse in worship. And I appreciate that sentiment. My answer is always, there are many, many things you will give up for your children. This is only the beginning. Okay, this is only the beginning. This way, she is surrounded. She is surrounded by Dad and by Mom. She can't crawl away down the bench. She is right where she is under control, and we can help her to worship when she's between the two of us. All right? Then along comes, let's see, this baby. This must be Josh. Along comes Josh. He has a hat. Sorry, Josh, you're kind of a wimpy looking. Anyway, so along comes Josh. All right, so Josh, second baby, he now takes this spot right between, so the youngest is between Mom and Dad. Stand up, sit up, Josh. Never did listen to me. Okay, youngest is between Mom and Dad. And now Nicole, the oldest, sits on the side next to Dad. It is Dad's job to help these children be engaged in worship. Yes, Mom too. But remember, Mom has spent all week with Josh. Hey, Mom, why is the sky blue? Hey, Mom, why are you doing that? Hey, Mom, why does this go? Hey, Mom, hey, Mom. Okay, on Sunday, husbands, adults, okay? Husband, give your wife a break. Give her a break. The little one's in between, and you're now next to the older one and helping them to be engaged in worship. All right, time goes on. Of course, eventually Kristen arrives, and same principle. Newest baby in the middle. Sit there, Kristen. Oldest one, who's now been in church and learning to worship for probably 2 years. Okay, now this one goes to Mom's side because she's been doing this for a while. And the next youngest one, the number 2, goes to Dad. So again, we have the parents under control of the kids. None of these kids are really outside Dad's reach. He can grab this one, bam, like that. He can grab this one, bam, like that. If he's careful, he goes, bam, over top, and get that one. So all of these kids are within reach yet. Not this. Dad, Mom, baby, here. No. This is way too far for Dad to reach. He's got a bite or something. So put them in an arrangement that Dad can pretty much reach everybody. That's how we sit when we come to church. It's not haphazard. It's not random. It is done orderly so that the kids are surrounded by parents. They're flanked on every side by a parent. And again, husbands, give your wives a break. It is the Lord's day of rest. They have been dealing with your children all week. Don't tell me for an hour on Sunday you can't take charge, okay? You take charge, give your wife a break, and you take over. Now, I say we sit together as a family. That's as long as they're in the house as a family. As long as they're in your house, they're in your family, and we sit together as a family. When they get to the teenage years, they're going to say, hey, can I go sit with so-and-so? No, you can't. We worship together as a family. Your friend can come and sit with us. Your friend can sit with us. That's fine. We love it if your friend sat with us. But we worship together as a family. That's how we've always worshiped. That's how we continue to worship. So-and-so gets a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Can I go sit with my boyfriend? No, but your boyfriend can come sit with us. In fact, we love that because we sit together as a family. That's how we do it in this house. When I was dating Mary, we did it in high school, and I always came to her church at night because that was her dad's rule, that they worship together as a family. So I was welcome, well, most of the time. I was mostly welcome to go worship with them. I can actually only remember one time, maybe Dad was out of town, one time where you came to my church and worshiped with me. But I always went to Mary's church because they worship together as a family. And I was welcome to be a part of that, but that's what they did. Those of you who have or have had teenage kids know that their lives get more and more and more busy. As they get older, as they get jobs, as they're in sports, as they're in music, eventually you get to the point where the only thing you're doing together is spending that hour in worship. Why would you ever give that up? Why would you ever let that go away? When your children hit those high school years and their later high school years, this may be the only time the whole family is together. We worship together as a family. And then the last one one more. And this one's going to be controversial. I know this one's going to be controversial. Where's my red marker? Sit together. Sit in front. Sit in front. And we do that so our kids can see what's happening in the worship service. Okay, here's little Josh. Here's little Josh. Josh is sitting in the back row of church behind a big guy like me. Okay? Josh, he's not seeing anything of what is going on. And that's not going to help him be engaged. When they're up front, they can see, especially on Lord's Days when we have the sacraments. The sacraments are visible signs and seals. They are meant to be seen. And so especially on those days, have the children sit up front with you so they can see when there's a baptism, so they can see it. They can see the water. Lord's Supper, they can see the wine being poured. Oh, sorry, grape juice. They can see it, whatever it is being poured, okay? They can smell it. Have them so they can be engaged. Now, I'm not suggesting that this coming Lord's Day, all our families sit up front. Okay? It is a process. It is a process. So, you sit where you sit, and you tell your kids, if you are really going to be good today and engaged, and we'll say what that looks like next time. Next Sunday, we'll move a row closer. Make it a challenge for them. Because kids like to see. When they finish church, if they could, they'd all run up to the pulpit and play around the pulpit. They want to be up there. That's what their desire is. So let's give them an incentive. If you are engaged in worship this Sunday, next Sunday, we'll sit a row forward. And slowly, you'll see yourself moving forward. Now, it might take a little time. Our church has 23 rows. So it could take 2 years. Okay, you start in the back. You're good 1 month. Go forward. Maybe some Sunday you have to go back a row. But imagine if the church in general was aware of what our young families were doing, and they saw that on this particular Sunday, oh look, the Bosch has moved up a row. And after the church, they go, oh, we're so excited for you guys because you were able to move up a row. and then next week they move back 3 rows. But imagine how those parents will say, we're not in this alone. The church knows what we're trying to do. We're trying to engage our kids, and they're encouraging us to engage our kids. Now, I know people are always concerned about distracting others. Yes, that is a concern. Two things I say about that. One is, our children are far more distracting to us than to anybody else in church. Our children make a little peep, and we think the whole congregation has stopped and heard it. We're far more aware. That's one thing. And the second thing is, again, as a church, we should be ready to say, you know what? I'll put up with a little distraction if it helps this child become more engaged in the worship of a holy God. That should be our obligation. Maris.
Are you distracted?
That's my next one. Thanks, Maris. She always takes good care of me. And I guess there was 3 points. It's just every sermon has 3 points. So the last one, sometimes parents will come to me after church and they'll say, oh, I'm sorry, my kid was such a distraction today. I don't see any of it. I see absolutely nothing of what's going on. And this is the story Mary wants me to tell you, is how one time in my previous charge, there was a woman who in the front row actually fainted, fell on the floor, and people carried her out. And at the end of the service, I said, what happened to so-and-so? I get so in the zone. I am so in my head when I'm preaching. I had a little girl one time throw up. I mean, she's like sitting right here, throw up all in the aisle. Dude, I didn't see a thing. I completely missed it because I'm so into what I am doing. So I tell the parents of the kids, don't worry about me. I noticed when my kids were bad. When Josh was bad, I could see that from a mile away, okay? If it's your kids, I do not notice. I do not notice. So, that. Be aware that, yeah, it's probably more significant to you than others, and can't we all help these kids? And can't we put up with a little bit of distraction? We're the adults, okay? We're the adults. Let's help these kids. The last one under this is that pre-service time. Use these 10 minutes. Use these 10 minutes. And here's a couple ways to do that. With older children, high school age, they're going to use that time to read the bulletin. So they can be aware of what's going on this week, and so they can be aware of the prayer concerns. That's how they use that time. For our younger kids, we're going to help them prepare to be engaged in worship. So we're going to take the bulletin and say, okay, our first song is number 342. Here's the songbook. Now you find number 342. And depending on their age, maybe you have to help. Okay, here's the 3. Find that number first. And now it's the 4. Okay, now it's a 2. And we take a bookmark and we stick it in there. Our second song is number 486. Now you find 486, and they're paging through, and they're looking, and here's 486. And you do that with every song. That's going to eat up. Your 10 is not enough. Okay, you're going to be 15 minutes early. But that already sets the tone. We're getting ready for something. These 10 minutes are not just, oh boy, I just got to do nothing here for 10 minutes or waste my time doodling. I am getting ready to be engaged in worship. And so we look up the songs and we look up the text. Now that's going to be, again, older kids. Your kindergartners not going to be looking up the text, but older kids, those 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds, have them look up the text, put their bookmark in there, so when it comes time to read the text, they've got it already. Or the Lord's Day for the day. They look up the Lord's Day for the day. Give them this time. Give them something to do related to the service, not just counting tiles. I just counting tiles. You ever do that in church? Our church, oh man, I would not listen to a single sermon in this church because that big stained window glass, that glass window, you look at all the squares on there and you count how many squares are there actually on that stained glass window. In the bottom section, there's 44 in case you're wondering. So that wasn't during Dr. Falconer's sermon. I'm just saying, okay. But I would be counting this stuff, and okay, that's really not a square though. That's more of a rectangle. I mean, now I know what's going to happen Sunday morning. We're going to go, oh, look at that window. Okay, don't do that. Don't be distracted by the window. But that's what kids do. They find something. In my church growing up, it was tiles. We had tiles on the wall, and I count the tiles on the wall. And I can tell you there was 342 tiles on the wall. So this gives them something getting ready to be engaged in worship. Okay, we got to keep moving on. I'm taking too much time. This is how we get ready at church. How do we get ready at home? At home. Again, so we have to take a backwards approach. At home, we have, if we want to be on time to church, we have to get up on time. Get up on time. Whatever that is for you, get up on time. This author said, too often, the Sunday morning call to worship is, hurry up, we got to go. Okay, that's not really a good call to worship when you're in your home. Get up on time. You know how much time it takes for your kids to get ready. You know how far you are from church. You know you want to be 10 minutes early. It becomes a simple math problem. So get up on time and develop a Sunday morning routine. Sunday, let's put that word up there, routine. Sunday is not just Saturday a day later. Sunday is not just Saturday a day later. Saturday morning, certain things happen. Kids get up, maybe they go watch cartoons on TV, they grab themselves a bowl of cereal. There's a Saturday morning routine. Sunday isn't Saturday just a day later. Sunday is a completely different routine. It's Sunday morning. How do we teach that Sunday is special? Well, I was thinking about that and thinking about when I was growing up, and I don't know if Mom did this on purpose or not, but every morning, every school morning, for breakfast, she made us fried eggs and toast. Every morning, Monday through Friday, fried eggs and toast. On Saturday, we didn't have breakfast together, but we had lunch together. We had pancakes for lunch. On Sunday, it was back to eggs again. But on Sunday, we had boiled eggs, not fried eggs. We never had boiled eggs during the week. We never had fried eggs on Sunday. Now, I don't know if that was self-conscious or just that's the way Mom always did it. But we could recognize there was something different. Even the breakfast said, this is a different day. This is not a fried egg. This is a boiled egg. This is a Sunday egg. Not a Wednesday egg. Now you can do that with what your kids do when they get up. Maybe they're still going to turn on the TV. But they're not going to flip on cartoons. They're going to have, if this is your choice, they're going to have a DVD of some show, but they only watch that on Sunday. This is the Sunday DVD. When our kids were growing up, it was Odyssey and Wits End, McGee and Me. What's the newest? What's one of the newer ones? I forget what that. There's these kids shows. Veggie Tales. Oh, I'm huge. Don't get me started. I will start singing. Okay. But there's particular ones. Okay, these are the Sunday ones. You can watch the other ones during the week. That's fine. But these are the Sunday ones. We have that when we go on vacation. We have a certain CD our family was given a long time ago. And when we go on vacation, this is the vacation CD. Every kid knows this is the vacation CD. We must be on vacation because here's the vacation CD. Same thing with Sunday. These are the Sunday shows that we watch. Or we say, you know what? You watch TV on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. On Sunday, we don't watch TV, but we put in this particular, I was going to say cassette tape. No, this particular CD. Thank you. This CD. This is our Sunday CD. We don't play it any other day. Not because it would be wrong or bad, but this is special for Sunday. These types of things are concrete ways that kids say, this is a different day. This is a different day. This is not Friday. This is not even Saturday. It kind of feels like Saturday because I'm not going to school. But this is the Sunday DVD. This is the Sunday CD. This is what we do on Sunday morning. So as you're preparing at home, as you're developing that routine, have it be something that doesn't occur any other day in that particular way. It is something distinctive for Sunday. It's hard to teach kids how Sunday is different, but this is one very practical way. Our routine is different on Sunday morning. As you're getting ready to leave the house, you've gone through the morning routine, and before you leave the house, guess what? You use the restroom. Okay? Before they leave the house, they use the restroom. When they get to church, they use the restroom. So when they tell you 10 minutes in, I gotta go, you say, no, you don't. You don't have to go. Because you went at home, and you went here. Your bladder's only this big. You got nothing left in there, okay? So you don't have to go. But again, it's part of the routine, part of what happens. The last part, we got about 8 minutes left. The last part of preparation, we got preparation at church, Preparation at home, and what I want to suggest, preparation on Saturday. A good Sunday morning worship service begins on Saturday. That's when it starts. Saturday is the day to prepare to go to worship. To make sure that all of our work is done so we can enjoy our day of rest. God calls us on Sunday to put aside our regular labor. He doesn't mean ignore your regular labor. He says get it done so you can lay it aside and focus on my holy day. And he gives us that Saturday, for many of us, that's a day off of work, where we can get the things done we have to be ready to go to church for. With our kids, this is my suggestion to every parent, take it for what it's worth. For our kids, their work, their job, Monday through Friday, is going to school. That's their job. Their job is homework. Their job is schoolwork. Make sure they get it done on Saturday so they can rest on Sunday. Sunday is not a day to catch up on homework. That's their job. That's their daily labor. Doesn't mean ignore it. Doesn't mean I got a paper due on Monday so I can just do whatever I want all day Saturday. No, that means Saturday I'm going to work and get my homework done so on Sunday I can rest. Let your kids rest too. We don't want them laboring 7 days. God doesn't want them laboring 7 days. Laboring 6 days, but resting on the seventh day. Don't let your kids do homework on Sunday. That's their job. Tell them God wants them to rest. Saturday is a day to review their Sunday school lesson and their catechism memory. Have they prepared for Sunday morning? Don't do that right before bed. If you ask them right before bed, what is your only comfort in life and death? And they go, what are you talking about? Okay. Your hands are kind of tied. It's bedtime. They got to go to bed. No, you ask them at lunchtime. That was our lunchtime in our house. When the kids were that age, ask them all their catechism questions. Are you ready for catechism tomorrow? And if the answer was no, guess what? You got all Saturday afternoon to get ready now. Okay, you've got time. If you wait till Saturday night, you're kind of stuck. Saturday noon, hey, you know what? God gave you this whole afternoon. You can get ready for Sunday tomorrow. A couple more really quick things in the last 5 minutes. Not only prepare in terms of their memory. Oops, that's the wrong color, but that's okay. Memory. The next one. Oh, this one. Prepare their clothes for the next day. Let them lay out what they want to wear on Sunday morning. Now, some of your children, it'll take them 2 minutes. Some of them, it'll take them 2 hours. They've got to pull everything out of the drawer to figure out, what am I going to wear to church? Saturday afternoon, they got 2 hours. In fact, you'd like that because they're in their room for 2 hours and you have quiet. So you let them take as much time as they want. On Saturday afternoon, you pick out your clothes. This is what you're going to wear tomorrow to church. When Sunday morning comes and they say, I want to wear something else, I don't care. You picked that out. I gave you all the time in the world. You're wearing this today. Okay? You can do something next week differently, but you are going to wear this today. As the parent, you get to win. Okay? You get to win this one. The only way you don't is when you give in. And then they've learned, oh, you know what? I can win this game. I can hold out longer than my parent. You get to win when you say, you are wearing those clothes. You picked those clothes. I didn't force you to wear those clothes. You're wearing those clothes today. That's how it goes. So they pick their clothes out, and they make sure that they're laid out just how they like them. And I'm going to talk about this next time. But their church stuff, and I'll define that for you next time. 3 things are part of their church stuff. Their church stuff is ready to go. Their church stuff, again, I'll talk about it next time. It's Bible, notebook, church bag. And I'll flesh it out next time. Bible, notebook, church bag. Their stuff is ready to go. They know exactly where it is. So on Sunday morning, they don't have to look for their church stuff. It's exactly where they left it the night before. They're ready to go to church. And the last one is, again, very, very simple. Get to bed on time. Get to bed on time. A good worship service starts on Saturday night. If our kids are up too late, they're going to be slow and cranky on Sunday morning. They're not going to want to be engaged in worship. And I suggest in that bedtime, when you're having devotions with them at bedtime, read the morning text for Sunday morning. You can find it online. It's put online by, I don't know, Friday or Saturday. Ashley puts it up. Somebody puts it up there, I don't know. So you can click on, and you can find the liturgy for tomorrow, and you can find the text for tomorrow, and you read that with your kids for their Saturday night devotions. And then on Sunday morning, when I read the text, the kids go, I know that. I know that. We read that yesterday. I know that. Okay? It connects with them. And suddenly, rather than a random Bible study, they're engaged. Dad just read this to me last night when he was putting me to bed. Dad read me this story, and now Dad's sitting next to me, and I'll talk next time about how Dad's going to help me engage that story in church too. So these are some things in terms of preparing for worship. At church, be early. I'm going to circle it again. Use the restroom. There is no reason at all, or in medical conditions, for any child to walk out during the service. Sit as a family, sit in front, incrementally. And then again, encourage parents. If you see them moving up, encourage them. Say, wow, that was really great. You guys moved up a row today. We want to have that culture of helping our parents train their kids. At home, a Sunday routine. It's not just Saturday one day later. It's a different day. It's the Lord's Day. It's Sunday. So do those things that mark it off as something different. And it prepares you the day before, on Saturday, getting their work done, their memory work, leaving their clothes out, having everything ready, reading the text right before bed. So Sunday morning when they come to church, it's not something foreign. It's something they just heard. And it will help them be much more engaged in worship. That's all I have for you tonight. Like I said, next time we'll talk more particularly, okay, what happens after all this prep? What happens in the worship service? What is Dad doing to help these kids to be engaged in that worship service? So that's all I have for you tonight. Let's have a prayer and we will call it a night. Lord our God, we are so thankful for our children. We are so thankful that they are a gift from you. And with that gift, oh God, we recognize comes an obligation to teach them many things about the world and things about family and how to tie their shoes and how to ride a bike. But the most important thing, oh God, to teach them about their relationship with you and how they might be engaged with you in the worship service. Lord, may these things tonight, whether they be foolish or wise, be used by you to give us some tools, some things to help us to train our children, help them prepare for worship, to help them recognize the significance of the Lord's Day as a special day set aside by you yourself for rest and for worship. Let us help our children, oh God, to embrace that glorious truth as well. Watch over us now, we pray, as we go our separate ways. Bless us the rest of this evening. Help us to serve you more fully. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.